Hello, good evening and welcome back to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. It's Friday night, it's February, and we've got a fantastic 2 days of racing to preview for you, trying to squeeze about 700 races into 60 minutes and hopefully a few winners as well. But it is, of course, the Dublin Racing Festival, 2 days with 8 Grade 1s and a couple of Grade 2 bumpers as well over the course of Saturday and Sunday at Leopardstown, and over €1 million in prize money, and that's just to the winners. So it's going to be a fantastic weekend. Admittedly, it's always fantastic if your name's Willie Mullins, Henry de Bromhead or Gordon Elliott, of course. They've won 3/4 of the races since the Dublin Racing Festival was brought together in 2018, and it looks set to continue that way over the course of the weekend as well. And then, of course, they're perfectly primed and warmed up to come over to Cheltenham and win all the races at the festival there too. So let's hope we can maybe find a few nice price winners over the course of the next 2 days. We've also got Sandown, of course, the Scilly Isles Grade 1 event there, with potentially one of the UK's biggest hopes going to Cheltenham in the spring, in the shape of the Home Press for the Venetia Williams stable. We've also got 4 more races live on ITV4 to get through as well. So it's going to be fast and furious. Plenty of talking points and plenty of top-class racing to get stuck into. So this is live and interactive, as you well know. If you're watching at home, like and subscribe on the stream on YouTube or on Facebook and get those comments in. The chat box is right in front of me, and if we get any time at all, I might be able to squeeze in a few tips, especially for you regulars out there. There's a few of you, I'm pretty sure, have watched every single show to boot. So if you are new to the show, welcome. If you've been here since the beginning, welcome again. Like I said, do like that stream, because the algorithm does like to promote it if you do. My name is Ross Brierley. I'm in the hot seat presenting for the evening. And as ever, we've got a fine lineup of pundits to try and find the value on the weekend's cards. And as soon as we saw the Dublin Racing Festival on the agenda, I said, surely Paul Kealy won't be in the studio. He'll be off having a couple of sherbets and enjoying the racing over in Ireland. But no, inexplicably, here he is, to my left, looking disappointed, admittedly, to be here.
I can't believe how devastated I am. No, I mean, if there'd been less doubts about the restrictions, I'd have made more effort to get over there, because I went a couple of years ago and I loved it. It was really, really good. Relaxed atmosphere. Great racing. Superb Guinness.
Yeah.
Missing all of that. Instead, I'll be going to Sandown tomorrow, though. I mean, that's not a bad second prize for me, because I absolutely love Sandown. But looking forward to the stuff. It didn't look good for the Brits at Trials Day last week, did it?
No.
And we had the 28th best staying hurdler in Ireland, beating all of our best in the Albert Bartlett trial. Piper making our juveniles look like snails. So I'm sure we'll get an awful lot more clues. But Leopardstown is a great meeting in its own right, without a shadow of a doubt. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's obviously it's perfect positions to get horses prepped and ready for Cheltenham. But I mean, you've got the absolute perfect mix of established superstars, fantastic novices, and some of the, I mean, even the novice chase, the Galopin de Champs, is odds on Sunday, and you think, if he's odds on, look at the horses he's facing. So
exactly,
there is potentially a whole raft of incredible horses.
There is, yeah. There's an awful lot. I think on Sunday alone, I think there's 7 Cheltenham Festival winners running.
Yeah.
Some of those are in handicaps.
Yeah, and there's even, I mean, I was talking to you outside and asking you what you fancy, and you were obviously going through the handicap chases and handicap hurdles as well.
Yeah, I can't help that, yeah.
So we'll do this show, and then you can do your own show afterwards for an hour.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
I always think when we do Cheltenham previews, everyone does all the races that everyone's talked about for months and months and months, and no one does the handicaps. It's silly. I'd start off with the handicaps. That's what people really want to know anyway, isn't it?
Well, it's because they're normally entered in about 15 different races, that's why.
Yeah, well, it's not like it's any different for the novice hurdles, is it?
Fair point. Paul Kealy in fine form ahead of Leopardstown and Sandown this weekend then. And as ever, live via satellite link. He could be in Leopardstown. I don't know. Maybe he's invested in a green screen and he's been tricking us all along. Tom Segal. Has he been at home for the past year or so, or has he been on a bit of a tour? Good evening to you, Tom.
First question, what's a green screen?
Yeah, it's...
you might see one when we grab you into the office at some point.
I'm coming in on March the 6th.
I
boys.
heard that.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's a bit like Shiskin. I won't believe it until you actually turn up.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I might dramatically get COVID, I think.
But you've been wrapped in cotton wool for the season, Tom, but you still perform on the big days.
Well, from time to time, some of these old boys, they still have their days in the sun from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. Said with a bit of modesty there, but yeah, I mean, Chacun Pour Soir obviously lining up this weekend. Are you the Chacun Pour Soir of tipping, Tom?
Well, I hope I'm. Well, no, probably not. I think I'm a little bit more consistent than him these days, aren't I?
Yeah, true. You do. You get to the track a little bit more, don't you? What horse would you be then, Tom? If you were a horse currently racing, what would you be?
Who would I be? Oh, that is hard. You can't spring that on me, Ross, like that.
I'll tell you what. I'll spring it on the viewers then. If Tom Segal was a horse, you tell me who it would be.
It'd be a very slow one, I can assure you of that.
A definite Ida contender. So Paul and Tom then hopefully picking out some winners ahead of a jam-packed weekend. And Simon Clare, it's scintillating stuff. It's. Are you sure this needs to be an hour's show? Can we stay on to the wee hours?
Well, I think there was chat about maybe sort of creating a bit of extra time, just there was so much to cover. I mean, not just on Saturday alone. There's a huge ITV. I think it's 11 races or something on ITV, and then we've got the Sunday as well. So that's great news. Having this increase in ITV coverage is so good for punters, for viewers, for racing fans. They've really got the bit between the teeth, actually, ITV. They must be seeing real benefits of getting live racing on as opposed to their other scheduled actions. So and long may that continue. That's good for everyone. But I was just trying to think of who Tom Segal might be. I think this is the week that Rafa Nadal won his 21st, Grand Slam. He's going on and on. Are you the Rafa Nadal of tipping, maybe, Tom?
Undoubtedly not. No, I feel like I've been going on longer than Rafa Nadal. How does he keep going, that lad? They're like 5 setters every single time.
You're making me feel old, by the way, because he's a good deal younger than me, Tom.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And we've had a few suggestions, and Paisley Park was one of them. So Paisley Park is the Rafa of racing, I guess.
Given how reluctant he is to come in, we'll go with that.
Yeah. Surely Tom is Tiger Roll, Master Tommy Tucker.
Oh, he's dead.
Sorry. Yeah, fair enough. I apologise for that one. Dashel Drasher, perhaps, or Spirit of the Game. Spirit of the Game, says Drew. That's a bit.
Well, no,
True.
He's had more success than that has in the last couple of years, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not much.
But anyway, let's get stuck in. Get your selections in for the weekend then, and we'll get cracking with the racing in a second. But of course, this is brought to you by the Racing Post, and if you're not already a member, then we've got a bit of an offer for you: £15 for your first 3 months if you use the link in the video description on this YouTube stream. So stay ahead of the field with the Racing Post Members Club with that offer, £15 per month for the first 3 months if you click that link on the stream. Right, let's get stuck into it. Sandown and Leopardstown. Like I said, it is the Dublin Racing Festival, but on Saturday, of course, we're going to be focusing more on the Sandown races. So we kick off with the 115 over 2 miles here, this handicap chase, and Gunsight Ridge heading the Benny here at 11-4. Frero Bamboo is 9-2. Tamarok de Mathan 11-2 with Rico Boy, 13-2 Dolos. Bun Doran is 8-1. Moonlight and 9s, and 22-1 the outsider of the Bunch Hatcher. Now there are a lot of talking points about this weekend's action, but one of them that's going to come up repeatedly as we go through the races over the next hour or so is the dreaded trainer form, and we've got trainers who, in theory, have got fantastic chances with horses, and their horses aren't necessarily performing up to their best. But we said that about Nicky Henderson a few weeks ago, and he had 5 winners on a Saturday. But you've got your Ollie Murphys and your Paul Nicholls, for example, in this opening race, and we were talking about this off air.
Well, this is it, yeah. Ollie Murphy got the favourite, 11-4, 2 from 34 in the last fortnight. Paul Nicholls, 3 from 41. He's had 12 runners this month alone. We're only 4 days in. All got beat. Only 3 of them got within 10 lengths of the winner, and most of them got beat a hell of a lot further than that. Now, looking at this race on Monday, I'm thinking, well, this sometimes happens with Nicholls when he gives them their flu jabs, and then immediately we hit January, they get better. It's happened in the past. I mean, the last 2 years, he actually had a superb strike rate throughout the whole of January, but before that, he would come straight back, but it just hasn't happened at the moment. And I backed Tamarok de Mathan at 10-1 earlier in the week. He's a shorter price now, but I think probably going to drift, because Harry Cobden's put on Dolos, whose form figures in this race are 1-1-2. And you just can't be confident, and I think Gunsight Ridge for me wants further than 2 miles on decent ground. I think he might well struggle. I know he won here last time, but that was heavy. And the solid one's Ferrero Bamboo, and I came down. I might have a couple of quid on Moonlighter, who's getting better handicap with every run. He did fall very early last time, but he didn't run that badly. Went behind Gunsight Ridge on heavy ground the last time. I am completely clueless in this race. I don't have any strong fancy now at all.
Which is unlike you, because I mean, a 2 mile handicap chase.
Yeah, I love them. I love them, but I mean, it's just, I'm just so worried about the form of certain yards, and it does put you off when you see those strike rates for really, really good yards. Yeah. I mean, Nichols has said, he's pretty sure it's a flu jab. Now, I don't know about you because you're too young, but I've had 4 flu jabs in my life, and 2 of them had no effect, and the other 2 made me feel like death for 3 or 4 days. So maybe this year's is particularly bad. You don't know, but at the moment you can't really touch the Nichols horses. No.
Albeit, like I said, we said that about Henderson a few weeks ago. I mean, even last week we said about Alan King not having winners, and then he went and had a graded winner at Cheltenham last week. Obviously, Ferrero Bamboo is the solid one here. Tom, you're not usually a man to get bogged down in such trivial matters as trainer form, though, are you?
No, because as soon as you start thinking that, they come and have 5 winners, like you said with Nicky Henderson, that you just don't know when it's going to change. So, you can't be confident about backing them, but I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if any of those horses went in. I think Gunsight Ridge is the one to beat. I thought he was impressive the other day, but I'm surprised Keels didn't give Bundoran a mention, because I think he's got a cracking each way chance.
I've jumped off that cliff.
Well, you shouldn't have, because he was awesome last time. I know he got beat by Gunsight Ridge, but he went way too quick. There were loads of front runners in it. They changed the tactics. They made the running with him. And he was upsize jumping the last, and he had every right to check out, and he didn't. He kept running all the way to the line. He's only beaten a length and a half. He's £4 better off. I think the good ground's no problem. He hasn't got the pressure this time that he did last time. I think around 10 to 1 or whatever price is. I thought he was a cracking each way bet. I cannot see any reason why Gunsight Ridge is 11 to 4 and he's 10 to 1. Okay. I thought he was one of my ones of the day, really.
Okay, he's £19 lower than he was at this time last year as well, so he's in good form. Dolos also incredibly well handicapped, £15 lower than when he was second last year, and as Paul said, he's got a cracking course strike rate, but plenty of course winners in here. Simon, it's a tough weekend and it's a tough opener. Oh, right, okay, sorry, I probably was having problems with Simon's connection. I heard his name in my ear and I thought the producers were saying go to him.
I'm back.
Oh, there we go.
Here he is.
I thought they were saying go to Simon. It turns out they were saying don't go to Simon.
Don't go to me, he's gone. Listen, I'm totally in agreement with Tom on Bundoran, actually. I thought he was going to win last time. He was running such a massive race. You knew he was well handicapped. Thought he's back. Just got reeled in on that heavy ground by a horse who loves that heavy ground and actually stays further. With the change in the going, good ground. Tomorrow completely different. I think he's got a great chance, hasn't he, just to last home, and we know how well handicapped he is. And Dolos has been out of form. Tamarack Dimathan had a second wind surgery. I thought Moonlighter might be the other one, but it's interesting. There's not been any great money for anything yet in this race. So I think they're all as confused as Paul. So we'll see what comes. We have got an In the Know special though, and it's an interesting one given your chat about trainers' form. Paul Nicholls got 2 big runners in the race. Dolos has been nibbled at this evening, and he is 11 to 4 to win the race with one of his 2 runners from 2 to 1. But obviously, there's that trainer form to concern himself.
Okay, 11 to 4 out from 2 to 1, then Nicholls to win the 115 at Sandown. And we were saying about it last week, it might well be lay all the Nicholls horses to place and then put them all in a multi as well. It's going to go.
It's one of those, isn't it?
It's going to go one or two ways.
Could bounce right back.
The tip in the first?
I'm hoping for me anti-post Tamarack Dimathan, but if I was having a bet now, it'd be a tiny one on Moonlighter.
Okay, Tom?
I like Bundoran. I think he'll run really well.
Okay, Bundoran then, a good each way bet for Tom. Simon?
Yeah, me too. Bundoran each way.
Okay, and with all the question marks over the others, the only one who doesn't seem to have a question mark is Ferrero Bamboo for me. So I will go with Venetia's charge. She could have a good afternoon at Sandown, of course, as we mentioned earlier. That's the 115 at Sandown then. Skipping over to Leopardstown for the first race we're going to have a look at tomorrow. It's the 135. It is a juvenile hurdle here. And last week we saw Pied Piper hack up on the bridle at Cheltenham, carrying the exact same silks as Phil Dorr. And previously he beat Vauban, and they come head to head against each other to try and settle some scores on Saturday afternoon. Phil Dorr 6-4, Vauban 6-4. Ikare Allen is 6-1. The tide turns 11s. Vidali 16s with Ben Segal, 66-1 the outsiders of the bunch. So I was watching about the clip last week, Tom, of you saying about Pied Piper, saying I just think he'll win, and we could be looking at the new favourite for the race come Cheltenham, and you were pretty much bang on. So it's interesting to see that the Triumph betting will now get a little bit clearer or a little bit muddier, and we could potentially have a right old matchup here on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, looks really good, doesn't it? Can I be Pied Piper? Yeah, that's who I want to be. Can I be Pied Piper rather than Paisley Park?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it does mean that you'll be leading children into a river, but apart from that...
What do you
I
mean?
can lead mine into the river. They're
Totally
so
flattered by your most recent performance.
Isn't that true, though? Just going back to that, that was really... Pied Piper, do you know, 6 of the 8 runners in that race had the comment in the form book, pulled too hard, too keen. You know, it just totally fell apart that race. I mean, I'm all for thinking Pied Piper might be quite good, but I thought it was a shocking race. So
yeah,
that's my opinion on that. Anyway, this race, I know Keels is all over Vauban and has been for many weeks now. Clearly, the Pied Piper form looks better now. I'm always put off when horses having their second run, having seemingly run well on their first run, have a tongue tie put on and wind operations and stuff like that. So I'm slightly worried about him in that issue, but I understand the vibes around him are really strong. I think they'll have really watered the ground, so I don't think it'll be a problem for Phil Dorr. I know Davy Russell and Gordon Elliott think he's at least as good, probably better than Pied Piper. I think he's going to have to beat Vauban. I think it's a 2-horse race. I would slightly go for Phil Dorr just because he's my type of horse. You know, he's a solid citizen rather than a flashy one that hasn't quite done it yet. But I could easily see it the other way around. Toss up. I'm going to go for Phil Dorr, but I'm not sure I bet on it.
Okay, Phil Dorr then 6-4 here. Vauban also 6-4. Obviously, you've been talking up the chances of Vauban at Cheltenham, and I mean it's not a totally controversial statement to say this horse pretty much should have won.
He'd have jumped better, but you've got to do that, haven't you?
Yeah, sure.
You know, and that's the problem. But yeah, had he taken the last better, I think he probably would have won. He was making ground hand over fist at the line. So, you know, but Pied Piper has come out and improved. I don't actually think he needed to improve very much to win that race last week, but he's still come out and improved. So Vauban's got to come out and do that. You know, he's a flat horse, so he might, you know, the first run with these ex-flat horses could easily be as good as they were, as good as they are. But having said that, you know, the trainer thinks he'll come on. I think he wants a much stiffer test of stamina as well. I think he's going to love Cheltenham. Yeah. You know, an ex-flat horse, especially with only 2 hurdles in the last mile or so.
Well, I mean, the sire of Sealaway, of course, you know, running the Arc and winning heavy ground at the Champions League.
I mean, you know, he's borderline listed class himself. You know, a bit like Pied Piper. They weren't far off it themselves. I think Pied Piper was 96 or something, wasn't he? And you know, he's got a rating.
I mean, he won a listed race.
Yeah, he won a listed race. Yeah, he got a rating of just about 100, I think, in France. I think, you know, I don't think you could argue with that because that form of the listed race he won actually worked out very well. So yeah, I think he's probably the one to beat. For some reason, Fiedel hasn't really impressed me. You know, it would surprise me if there isn't something better around. We'll find out. I could be wrong. But yeah, I like Vauban. We shouldn't rule out I Care Allen and the Tide Turns because they've both shown plenty of promise. But the Tide Turns beat a horse that was 15 lengths behind Vauban on its debut. So I think their front two are the right front two. One of them will win it. I'm hoping it's Vauban.
Okay, Vauban then 6-4. The Yard have a pretty good record in this. 2015 they won this with Petite Parisienne, who was second in the same Punchestown race that Vauban was second in. Got beat by a Gordon Elliott horse on that occasion as well, and came on and improved for this. So I imagine they're hoping for a similar kind of deal on Saturday. Just a quick word on Ben Segal. I thought it was a bit big at 16-1. Obviously, air of Jeff Kidder about him. Really good speed figure for that race last time out. The form doesn't look overly fantastic, I didn't think, but you know, he ended the flat season off a mark of 76 while still improving. He was a better horse on the flat than Jeff Kidder, and I don't know, you never get a short price about an Old Mead runner, do you?
Excellent surname too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, I mean, you'd put him a fair way behind on flat form, but then, you know, horses like Catch It were rated similar, weren't they? And they suddenly improved the hurdle. So, you know, it remains to be seen. One thing we do know about, you know, when it comes to these big festivals, you always get one or two that come out and surprise you, don't you? The favourites, all the favourites don't always win.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Phil Dorr versus Vauban. Then you're in the Vauban camp.
I'm a Vauban man.
Okay, and Tom?
Marginally Phil Dorr, but I'm not convinced.
Okay, Keels versus Segal there with Phil Dorr and Vauban. I will swerve them both entirely and go for Ben Segal each way at 16-1. Simon, are you team Phil Dorr or team Vauban?
think I'd be marginally in Phil Dawes' camp just because he's sort of got that little bit more experience. But it's definitely one to watch. Definitely one to watch with eye for the Triumph Hurdle. It's probably the best Triumph Hurdle trial in recent years, throwing up loads of winners, loads of placed horses, and the fact that despite Pied Piper sitting at the top of the market, Phil Dawes, Vauban, Ikara Lan, and then the next three in the actual Triumph Hurdle betting: 3-1 Phil Dawes, 4 Vauban, and 10 Ikara Lan. And the special, the Indoor special, is 5-2. A horse to win this race and to win the Triumph Hurdle. So basically, whatever wins this race, to go and win the Triumph Hurdle, 5-2, and that's from 2-1.
Okay, yeah, of course, Calixios managed that last year, and O'Connor a few years ago as well. So 5-2 out from 2-1. Any horse to win the Spring Juvenile Hurdle and win the Triumph. Plenty of people saying it's not a betting race at home. I think it is. Again, on the face of it, it has a lovely shape, but it's definitely going to be a fascinating clash. That's for sure. Sit back and wait for March race. This one says Sam Caney. And Off World says Phil Dawes has beaten nothing. And agrees with me with Ben Segal at 16-1. So I hope you are right with that one, my good man. Okay, that's the second race of the day then. First race at Leopardstown as we go back now to Sandown for the 150, which is the Contenders Hurdle here. Not entirely sure what they are contenders for. Possibly other listed and grade 3 races throughout the season. But Song for Someone at 2-1, Goshen 11-4, Guard Your Dreams 11-4, Global Citizen at 7-1, Hunter's Call at 10-1. It's arguably that the contenders, the fact that it's a contender for most overexposed group of horses over the course of the season. There's a lot of races if you've got a half decent 2-mile hurdler, Tom.
There are. And this one is the worst of them, probably, isn't it? But they're all good horses. I mean, the horse I'm interested in, and I've never thought I'd say this again, is Goshen. But I think there is a chance. I'm hoping that Simon, in his pearly flat up there, gives me a nice, great big bonus about how far Goshen can win by. Because if I could get Goshen to win by miles, I'd rather back that than him to win just outright. Because I think he's going to win by miles or he's going to blow out. Because I think he's miles better than these. We saw that at Wincanton last year, didn't we? He was massively impressive. I know that was heavy ground, and the ground's not going to be like that at Sandown tomorrow. But I think it'll still be some giving it at Sandown tomorrow. And he is light years better than these on his best day, I think. I think there's a chance it could be his best day tomorrow for the simple reason that he didn't run too badly. I know he was third of 3 at Lingfield, but he must have lost about 20 lengths jumping out to his right. There, and it wasn't bad form. Darva Star had won by 20 lengths the time before. Brewing Up a Storm was going to win the Ralkeel Hurdle at Cheltenham at the time. Just think he's different class to these, and if he's on a going day, I think he'll win easily.
If he's on a going day,
that's the problem. Which is why I'd like Simon to give me a nice 10-1 about him winning by 10 lengths or more.
Well, yeah, we can request that, the old hashtag your call. So what winning distance do you want?
What do you reckon, Keels?
Or 5 lengths.
8 lengths or more. 5 lengths or more, yeah.
Well, he's won by 22, 11, 34, 23. His lowest winning, it's 7 lengths is his lowest winning.
I think you should get a quote for 5 or more and 10 or more, because I think you could just rewind exactly what Tom has just said and replay it with my voice, and it would be the same thing. I totally agree. I thought he ran really well at Lingfield. He was hanging, and he's obviously a bit of a loony, but this is the right way round, isn't it? And he is better than these. I mean, the only thing is that, all the front four in the market all like to get on with things as well. That may well play into Goshen's strengths because he's probably a stronger horse than them. When he's on song, he beat him out of sight in the Kingwell, didn't he? I might even play the forecast with Hunter's Call to come and pick the rest up. I see him actually probably being the danger because they go so far forward. But I think, how many times we step in with Goshen? I mean, he's 11-4, and you don't know what he's going to do. But things are absolutely bang on for him tomorrow. He's a faster horse than Song for Someone and Guard Your Dreams, I think, and a better one too.
Goshen or Zanza? Which one are you giving more chances to?
More chances to Goshen.
Okay.
Because he's right-handed. Xander can't jump either way around.
Goshen then 11-4, giving him another chance. I mean, remarkable. Like I said, it could go either way. Personally, we've got to talk about Guard Your Dreams. We were talking off air, Keels, weren't we? That this horse, if you look at his 2-mile form alone, he never runs a bad race. He's one of the, as Keels said, a staying 2-miler, and he will appreciate the stiff finish. And he's in cracking nick. And Nigel Twiston-Davies is always been down Tom as a trainer who springs to life in the autumn and then goes off the boil, but completely the opposite this year. I think since October he's about a 15% strike rate, consistently going at the same level, and of course he had a big winner at Cheltenham last week. So I thought Guard Your Dreams had a big chance here. Yeah,
he's clearly got a good chance. He's in very good form, isn't he? Very solid horse. I just don't think if Goshen's on his A game, he's miles better than him, isn't he? I mean, he would have won a Triumph by 25 lengths. He won a Kingwell by half the track. He's just very, very good when he's right. As Keel says, tomorrow is right. He's going to be good to soft ground. It's right-handed. It's a track he likes. You know, it's just a race. As I say, he could win by miles.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not going to place, is he? He's going to win.
That's what I think. That's what I think. That's why I was asking for the price. You know, if you one of Simon's special ones there, if you win by 5, 6, 7, 10 lengths, whatever, I think that might be the play.
Okay, Simon, are you? Can we do that, or are we going to do that?
Yeah, no, I've put in the request. I mean, you can always request specials. Say using sort of hashtag your call to Coral, and that's definitely one. We do price up more. You know we do. I would read out in the no specials. There's going to be a couple more tonight of winning distances. So there's no reason why not. I mean, he's the one horse who's been nibbled at, and as Tom and Paul said, he went off 11-2 for last year's champion hurdle, for example. So that's how highly regarded, and should have won the Triumph hurdle, but he just flashes his brilliance very occasionally. I thought Song for Someone. I know he's coming second, but Sandown, although it's 2 miles, it's a really stiff uphill climb. You've got to really sort of stay all the way to the line. He was coming late and fast at Cheltenham last time, so I'd probably bump for him, but. Be fascinating now. It's a great race to watch. I found it really hard to work this one out, to be honest. And the fact the boys have gone for Goshen potentially to win by miles if he wins at all, can make it all the better to watch.
Okay, Goshen then 11-4 to just win outright. Offwell says Goshen needs a fence. We need something. Music Mike says Goshen for me. Ran well despite hanging right last time out. And Dante says just love Goshen. Very much a Marmite horse. Okay, so there's Goshen, and I'll go for Guard Your Dreams to spoil the party for Gary Moore's charge in the Contenders Hurdle tomorrow at Sandown. Back over to Leopardstown then here for a race which is suddenly a division that's been blown wide open, of course, by Fernie Hollow's injury, and quite a few horses have come up against him already and have been left on the wrong side, and that's... It brings us to Riviera de Tel, who is 15-8 with Blue Lord, 7-2 Haunton Galore, 4-1 St Sam, 16-1 Bustleton, and Embittered, the outsider of the bunch. So again, it's Gordon Elliott's Riviera de Tel versus the Willie Mullins bandwagons. Blue Lord, Haunton Galore, and St Sam all lining up, and it looked like it was going to be I'm not going to say a dull division, Paul, because you potentially would have had an incredible winner in Fernie Hollow who looked to have basically passed every test thrown at him, but that injury has now thrown it wide open. So one of these horses could put in a stupendous performance and go to Cheltenham with a big chance.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. I mean, it's wide open now. There were 3 or 4 horses here you could give serious chances to. Fernie Hollow really surprised me that he was able to give, I think it was £12 to Riviera de Tel, because Riviera de Tel had looked really, really good, jumps really well. But Blue Lord's got to give 9. And if he does that, he's almost as good as Fernie Hollow, isn't he? And that just leads me to think Riviera de Tel has to be the bet. She's still getting all these allowances. He won't get a 5-year-old allowance at all at Cheltenham, so it'll be a little bit different then. But with the mare's allowance and the weight for age, I think somebody's going to have to put up a really big performance to give her that amount of weight. Yeah. The others have got to give her £7. She just jumped really well, a length and a half down on Fernie Hollow.
She really battled on well as well.
Yeah. She's a really, really decent mare, and obviously, with all those allowances, she's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, I backed her for the Fred Winter last year. She was way too keen. She never really settled into the race.
Yeah, well, that's it. With these keen horses, if they can jump well and get them going out in front, they're hard to pass.
Yeah.
It's exactly what she has been.
Yeah, speed figures are excellent, and that Grade 1 over Christmas has a very good record in this. 12 winners in the past 20 years from 48 runners have come from that contest. So, Riviera de Tel is 15-8. We've also got a couple of unexposed times. I think you wrote in one of your eye-catcher columns or notebook columns a couple of weeks ago about St Sam as well, Tom, and Haunton Galore is completely unexposed. The man a cracker at a couple of Grade 1s last year. It's an interesting little race, this. Which side were you on?
fundamentally agree with Keels. I think that getting the weight, the £9 off the other horses, and she's got the experience. You know, she's going to be out front. They're going to have to come and get her. I think Blue Lord will probably be ridden prominently too. I have been impressed with him. I like him as a horse. I thought he would have been second. I know it would have been a long way second in the Supreme last year, but that was he's got classy form, and I think he's totally turned around by fences. I think he's settling much better. I think he jumps really well. I think he's a really classy horse. A little bit disturbed by the fact that no one in the Mullins camp seems to know which one's their best one. You hear a different person saying a different thing, and I noticed Blue Lord's on the drift now. So I thought he was the danger to Riviere de Tel. I thought the other two 5-year-olds had a bit more to prove. St. Sam was beaten in the Fred Winter after all. I think he jumps pretty well. He's not very big, St. Sam, but he seems to be a really quick, nimble jumper. So, but I thought on jockey bookings, he looked the least likely. I thought he wanted to step up and trip myself, but they clearly don't think that themselves. So I'm with Riviere de Tel. I think Blue Lord's the danger. The market will tell you that. I think Blue Lord has something about him that makes me think he's got a bit of an X factor about him. There's something really classy about just the way he does things, the way he moves, the way, his physique, everything about him exudes class. I doubt he'll be able to give her the mare £9 today, but I do think he's got a chance of winning the Arkle.
Okay, yeah. Just looking back at the Mullins record in this race, won it with Enegamy and Footpad, Duvan and Undersur, but of course they were all odds-on short price favourites, and the years where he's had a lineup more like this, he hasn't won the race, Tom. So almost the years where he does know the top of the pecking order, he goes on to take this race, and then if he doesn't know the pecking order, he doesn't.
Yeah, correct. But it's funny though, we all sit here going about the Dublin Racing Festival. Don't call it a trials. It's brilliant in its own right. Don't say it's just a trials for Cheltenham. The thing is, Willie Mullins thinks it's a trial for Cheltenham, doesn't he? That's the problem.
Yeah.
He loves the meeting, doesn't he? But he's running everything he can to see which is the best one for Cheltenham.
Yeah, absolutely. Whilst also mopping up hundreds of thousands of pounds in prize money as well.
At the same time, yeah.
But Riviere de Tel 15-8, and of course, like I said, just a couple of years ago when Notebook won it, for example, Mullins run Cashback, Mellon, Royal Rendezvous, and Bapaume. So he had 4 of the 6, and Notebook went on to score. So Riviere de Tel then is joint favourite with Blue Lord at 15-8 for the Irish Arkle at Leopardstown. It could be a cracking little race this time. Willie Mullins versus the rest. How's the market reacted?
Yeah, we've got joint favourites. I mean, it's interesting, 7 of the last 8 runnings of this race have been won by the favourites, but at the moment we've got joint favourites. We don't know who's even going to go off favourite. And just an interesting stat here, which given there are 4 of the 6 runners are 5-year-olds. Frozen Groom was the last 5-year-old to win this race in 2000, and the previous one was 1962. And I know there wouldn't be hundreds of 5-year-olds, but there'd have been enough of them over that period. I don't know if that means anything, but there've been more winners of the Arkle Trophy at Cheltenham, but many more 5-year-olds than have won this race. So I'm certainly Blue Lord's camp. I thought all last season when he was running really good placed efforts, being a little bit one place finish, everyone was saying he'll make a better chaser, and that's what's proved to be the case. Paul Townend in his Ladbrokes blog, explains why he chose him over St. Sam and Houghton Couloir. And to me, he's the favourite for the Arkle at 11-4. We've got 4 of the front 6 for the Arkle in this race. It shows you what a massive bearing it's going to have on that. And then we've got Edwardstown and third time lucky next weekend, probably at Warwick. So it's all going to become very clear. But I'm a Blue Lord man. I think he'll win. We have got a special hit in the know. 11-2 Blue Lord to do the Leopardstown Cheltenham double from 4-1. So that is to do that Irish Arkle Trophy double. 11-2 on Blue Lord.
11-2 out from 4-1 then. Blue Lord to win the Irish Arkle and the Arkle at Cheltenham, that price boost. Just had a quick look while you were saying that, Simon. There's only been 2 5-year-olds in the past 10 years run in this race. One was 16-1 and one was Clarkham a few years ago at 7-2. So
very good. How quickly did you do that?
I'm a master. I'm a master, I tell you. I'll show Tom how to use a green screen next week. Just you wait. But so there's more 5-year-olds in this race than there have been in the past 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Well, I didn't have clearly. I only did a scratch of the surface of the 5-year-old stat, and you destroyed me.
Well, no, it's a good. I thought it was a good assist. I was like,
No,
that's a
no,
good
no,
point.
no.
Actually, I'll just have a quick look. So, but it is important sometimes to dig down into those things
Yes,
and just have a quick look at them. So, okay, wide open little race then here. But I think we're all kind of in agreement to an extent. I think Riviera Hotel's going to take a hell of a lot of beating here. Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I think she'll end up going off Fav as well. Clear Fav.
Okay, Tom?
Yeah, I think she'll win this race.
Okay, and Simon?
I'm on my own, Blue Lord.
We almost had it. The rarity, the all four in agreement, which I'm pretty sure has 100% strike rate so far on this show. So we'll see if it comes up over the next half an hour or so. Riviera to tell for Sam Caney, and let's have a look. What else have we got? Trevor thinks Riviera to tell has done her winning. Sam says the mare is a certainty. And that's about it, I think, for at home for this Irish Arkle. So let's move back over to Sandown. The 220, their feature race of the day is the Scilly Isles, the Grade 1 novice chase here, over 2.5 miles, and a short price favourite in the shape of L'Empresse at 8-11. Pic D'Oy is 2-1, Mr. Coffee at 15-2, Fugitive at 22-1, and Gladiator Alain at 20. 8-1 then over at Sandown for the Scilly Isles, which has been won by some, well, I think quirky types is the way we would describe the roll call of the Scilly Isles. Of course, it is a Grade 1 at a tough track over an intermediate trip at a funny time of year, Tom. So it's no surprise that sometimes the likes of Itchy Feet and Sporting John turn up in a race like this and go, this is absolutely ideal.
Yeah, and it's often it's different this year. It's nearly always heavy ground around this time at Sandown. Sandown gets heavy very, very quickly, and it's not this time. So that might be part of the reason why we get some upsets. It's funny, isn't it? You're talking about four of the first six favourites in the Arkle running in that race here. L'Empresse has got a chance in the Turners, isn't it? But you wouldn't be fancying any of the others to even turn up at Cheltenham, probably. It's not as good a race as it can be. The Scilly Isles is always a little bit, as you point out, the timing's wrong. It's a little bit weak on class, but I do love L'Empresse. I think he's been the most impressive British novice chaser, I think, so far this season. Edwardstone probably runs him a bit close, but I've been staggered by how good he's looked. And I know people are going to tell me he can't win because he's going right-handed or whatever it is. There's a massive difference between Sandown and Ascot. Ascot, there's so much space on the outside. On Sandown, I'll be on the outside of the track. I don't see him losing this race because he's going to Sandown. He might lose because Pic D'Oy's a very good horse against him. But I'm a massive L'Empresse fan. I hope he wins because I think he is the one. I'd love him to go up to 3 miles and run in the, what's that one called now? It's not the RSA anymore.
Brown Advisory.
Brown Advisory. I'd love him to go and run in that because if, as the vibes are saying, Galopin might switch to the shorter race, I think he'd have a first-rate chance in that because I think he's crying out for 3 miles, and I think Cheltenham's perfect for him. So I'm hoping he wins today, and Venetia has a rethink and runs him in the 3-mile race at Cheltenham because I'll be on him because I think he's that good.
Okay, L'Empresse then is 8-11. Like I said, he does have a tendency to jump out to his left, and he's one of those strange horses who jumps impeccably well, then throws in one shocking mistake, and then goes back to jumping impeccably well again.
Yeah, Pic D'Oy's a bit the same as well, isn't he?
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? And he's, the market doesn't tell you this, but I mean, officially, the handicapper says he's £1 better than L'Empresse. We'll wait and see how true that is, but he jumps really low and fast when he gets them right, and that, it's amazing to watch when he does get them right, but then when he gets them wrong, I mean, like he did at Newbury, he's straight on the ground, and, he's taken a while to get his act together, but he was really good last time. Obviously, we've got the Nichols worry, so you can understand why he's been on the drift. I think L'Empresse will probably win, but if L'Empresse is crying out for 3 miles, I'd imagine Pic D'Oy's going to go pretty fast. So it'll be interesting seeing them down those back straight fences and seeing where they are in relation to each other, because obviously L'Empresse likes going forward as well. Yeah. But Pic D'Oy does go pretty fast. Fascinating race. I think L'Empresse is probably, he's probably the best long-term prospect out of the two. I have a sneaky respect for Pic D'Oy. I think he's a bit better than he's given credit for. Yeah. But stable.
He won the Betfair Hurdle, and sometimes
he won the Betfair Hurdle. Yeah, he's always been sort of fairly highly regarded.
He's always felt a bit like he's started too early almost. He won that big race. He was catapulted into quite high.
Exactly.
And he struggled to adapt until this season.
I mean, I think it's one of those horses. I mean, but surnames sort of suddenly come through from nowhere. They do sometimes, and I think he is quite useful. But I would worry about how fast he's going to go and whether he hits a couple of those fences if he doesn't get it right. Mr. Coffee,
talk to me about Mr. Coffee.
Mr. Coffee, as we know, is an absolute loon. He does like Sandown. I backed him. I fell for him at Kempton over Christmas. He sort of nearly won, but without ever really looking like he was going to. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's just one of those horses. The way he can jump really well, but he's going to throw in. He's going to balloon one or two and just get behind, isn't he?
So there's got. It feels like a horse I'm also going to slightly fall off a cliff because I'm thinking one day this is all going to come together for him. But is it?
He could do. I mean, look, he's rated 137, and he wouldn't be uninterested in the plate, would he? Off that sort of mark. And this is his third run over fences, isn't it? So it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. But in terms of the winner,
long press, I think.
Okay. And Tom, in terms of the winner,
hopefully long press. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to us about Long Press and Pictory, I guess, in terms of not only this race, Simon, but as Tom said, he could have a big chance at Cheltenham. Two possible options. What have you got for him at Cheltenham and on Saturday at Sandown?
Yeah, I mean, Long Press is his favourite 8 to 11 on Saturday. He's 6 to 1, effectively second favourite behind Bob Ollinger for the Turner's Novice Chase. Although Galloping to Shop is in there at 5 to 2, and Tom did say it's not impossible that. Galloping to Shop could switch race. I was having a quick look at the Brown Advisory. Is Long Press in there? Must be a lot big old price. Sorry, I'm not even sure if we've got him in. Oh, he's 25 to 1 for the Brown Advisory. Obviously, that's all in run or not. So if you take the chance, you might not run that if you backed in now. But I thought Long Press was really impressive at Cheltenham. The Glancing Queen's a lovely mare of Alan King's, and Long Press absolutely smashed it. And the fact, he's one of those rare Venetia Williams horses. Long Press has got plenty of form, got some decent form and good ground and good to soft, so the ground won't be any problem at Sandown. And our in the know special is for Long Press to win by over 4.5 lengths, 3 to 1 from 5 to 2 to win easily. And I did just have a quick watch of Exeter, which of course was right-handed, and he jumped straight as a die. So whatever happened to Ascot wasn't replicated in his previous run. So hopefully, won't be a problem.
A lot of horses do that.
I mean, he's a track bizarre. I mean, it is obviously galloping and stiff, but you do really have to get into a rhythm, or you can get taken.
Yeah, absolutely. But you watch chases, but week in, week out, especially novice chases, loads of horses go left there, and they don't repeat it elsewhere.
Interesting. I just remember talking about Nicky Henderson a couple of weeks ago at Ascot. They made a beeline to race as wide as possible, almost. I don't know if it's for the better ground, but almost as if to say, let's. Avoid that any horses jumping out to the left and just go as wide as possible. So Long Press, an 8 to 11 for the Scilly Isles on Saturday. Quite a few people very impressed with the favourite. Off-World says Long Press is a stone better than these, and we might well see. I mean, if it goes and wins by 10 lengths on Saturday, then that could well be the case in time.
Given the Nickel stable form, that 3 to 1 isn't a bad price,
Double it up with Goshen. Why not? Sandown then. Let's stick to Sandown for a cracking little handicap hurdle here over just shy of 3 miles. 18 runners line up here for a 56 grand to the winner pot here, and as you would want to see in a race of this nature, it is 6 to 1 the field. Rioja and Green Book are 6 to 1. Beauport is 13 to 2. Don Levant is 7 to 1. Born Patriot 15 to 2. Orby's Legend 8 to 1. Jesuit. I should have practiced that off air, shouldn't I? Never said that out loud. Just read it a lot of times. Paul, give us a go.
Where is it?
Tom, someone help me out here.
Jesuitique.
There you go, Jesuitique. Beautiful.
Jesuitique.
Call Me Lord, which they should have done. It's 11 to 1. A bigger price is the rest then for this 18-runner handicap hurdle. Paul Kealy, this is your kind of race. We've got a lot of unexposed types. We've got the likes of Don Levant, who turns up for every race like this. Call Me Lord, who loves it here at the track. But Rioja and Green Book, the former who landed a bit of a touch in a novice hurdle last time out, and the latter who they went for a touch and didn't get.
Yeah, didn't get very far. Wasn't their fault, was it? Just got brought down. It's just unlucky. You're going 3 mile now. Probably stay. Stay 2-2 at Chester in the consolation for the Chester Cup. So yeah, I've got a good chance. But there's 2 I really like in here. One of them's Call Me Lord, old favourite of mine. You could see a horse take worse defences. I don't know why they had 2 goes at it, to be honest. But on his second go at Hereford, he didn't want to even run between the fences because he meant going to another one, and he ended up getting pulled up. And it did quite a remarkable run to be a 33-1 third just 11 days later, back over hurdles at Kempton in the Lanzarote, coming from off the pace by comparison to the front two, Cobbler's Dream. And I can't remember the other one, but yeah, I thought that Highway 102. I thought it was a really, really good run, and his record, he's down to a mark of 144. You've got to remember he was placed off 160, I think, in the Imperial Cup here, or at least off a really high mark. And he just never runs badly here. He was beaten 9 lengths in the Grade 2 Select Hurdle last April.
Once at the last and once with the melee at the second fence. He finished off really strongly. He was only a half a length behind Call Me Lord, and I just thought he'd go well. Unfortunately, he's 7-1 now, whereas Call Me Lord was 11. It was the other way round, I think, a day ago. That's for sure. So you might have slightly missed the price, but yes, I definitely do think Don Levant's got a good chance with Isabel Williams taking the 5 off the other one. I think Green Book's got a chance. I agree with everything Paul said about Beauport. Just looks a bit of a slow boat for me, Beauport. And I know he's going up to 3 miles. I wonder if he really wants really bad ground to be at his best. I know it wasn't too bad at Newbury last time, but that was the only thing that put me off him at about 6-1. The other one I liked was, can't beat him, you might as well join him, the Irish horse, Born Patriot. I thought he ran a really good race on his first try at 3 miles. His only second ever handicap was at Cheltenham back in November, the last time we saw him. He was second to Kansas City Chief, who has won since, been placed twice since. He's up, I think, 11 or 12 pounds since then. I'm pretty sure Born Patriot is trying to bump up his mark to make sure he gets in the per temps. He's qualified for that. And he's trained by Mr. Belfast Banter. So we know what he can do with a runner over in this country. So I just thought Born Patriot was going to run a big race for the Irish here. So they would be my 2, Born Patriot and Don Levant.
Okay, there we go. Born Patriot 15-2 and Don Levant at 7-1. Just a quick word for the horse I can't pronounce. Je suis tique, that's one I'm going with. I got there eventually. Obviously from the same connections as the Patriot, who improved for about 2 stone, didn't it, for this yard a couple of seasons ago, and it's 3 from 4, and probably should have won the other one as well, and wouldn't rule that one out off a nice weight. So as you would expect for this kind of race, it's a bit of a cracker, Simon, and obviously there's potential Coral Lanzarote boosts as well.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, so I'm glad you did, because, it was only a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago exactly, we had our running of the Coral Lanzarote where we boosted the prize money. We got that fantastic field. Green Book was one of those unexposed horses. There were quite a few of them in the field, which was unlucky that day, and he's back, or she's back, isn't she? She's a mare, isn't she? Yeah. Green Book. Back at the head of the market, and Arkle, of course, won the Novice Hurdle that day, so that's great. Great to see. And these betting handicaps really important. 18 runners on good to soft ground at Sandown in January. I know there's a lot of quality around at Leopardstown, and a decent graded race on this card. But this is the big betting race of the day. I'm sure it'll probably be the biggest betting race of the day, probably. So good to try and work it out. I didn't have a strong view. Don Levant and Born Patriot price already being nibbled. I'm sure that's a Segal factor. And they're the main 2 for money. But I like, obviously I love to see these old stages win. So Call Me Lord, Paul's tips, one that probably appeals to me most.
Okay, wide open then. As soon as we went down the stream a little bit there halfway through this, we better reiterate those selections. 2 against the field for Paul Kealy.
Yeah, Call Me Lord and Beauport.
Okay, 2 against the field for me. I'll go for Don Levant and Je suis tique. Tom Segal, 2 against the field for you, I believe.
Yeah, Don Levant and Born Patriot for me.
There we go. Simon Clare, would you care for 2 against the field?
I'll go for Call Me Lord, and actually I'll probably go for Dolphin Square. I thought he was quite impressive last time. He's on a really good vein of form, and he'll probably go for a bigger price these amateur ridden versus some of the other horses. So each way Dolphin Square.
Okay, Dolphin Square here, who's again, never been out of the frame once, in fact, over hurdles in 8 runs, and that was behind Main Fact in bad ground at Haydock. So could be very interesting indeed. Wide open handicap hurdle at Sandown. Let's move on then to the next race we're going to cover, which is over at Leopardstown, the Irish Gold Cup, of course. 3 miles at half a furlong, which often over at Leopardstown can be absolutely crucial in these Grade 1 races. And Kemboy's 11-4 favourite here. Manila Indo 100-30 with Frodon at 100-30 as well. Asterion Falange 4-1. Delta Work 10s with Janadil. 50s Kinloss Emery and Conflate Conflated is also 50-1. It's a right old lineup with question marks hanging over quite a few of them. Ken Boy's probably the most consistent of the lot, but Manella Indo throws in a bad one every now and then. Frodon's never been here. Asterion Forlonge doesn't seem to want to complete half his races. Delta Work was injured. Does Janadil stay? Tom, I mean, what's the most solid one here, or the least risky at the odds?
Well, I think they're all risky at the odds. I mean, there's so many reasons, as you pointed out, to take on all of them. I mean, Asterion Forlonge could end up in Dublin, couldn't he? I mean, he's jumped so to the right. I mean, I just, you know, and he falls over a lot too. So, I mean, I think he's the one with the most ability these days, because I'm mad against him in Ella Indo, because he's just shown nothing for me. Really, he did. You know, I know they went too fast at Kempton, but he checked that really quickly. He's got to bounce back, and he's got to bounce back fast. Frodon can clearly run well. I'm hoping the ground isn't overwatered for him, but it's the Nichols factor. Ken Boy's going to run well, because he always does in this race. But he's 10, is he now? And you know, he's getting on a bit, and I can't remember the last time a 10-year-old won this. Although you'll probably tell me in a matter of seconds. Carlingford Lock, that's the one. I knew there was one. But 10-year-olds don't.
Like Ken Boy, I was going to say, Tom, though, like Ken Boy, he won it the year before as well. So I guess if you are going to back a 10-year-old, at least back them to do something they've already done.
He was 20-1 the second time, though, wasn't he?
He was 20-1. Was that the one where he came from absolutely nowhere?
Yeah, he's not 11-4, is he? I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You know?
No, fair.
And then you got Delta Work, who was pulled up and in cheek pieces. You got Janadil, who probably doesn't stay. Celios Emersy doesn't probably want to stay. So I have thrown a few quid at Conflated at 50-1. Just simply for the reason that he's the only one that hasn't. Oh no, what does that mean?
I don't
Is
know.
that good or bad?
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I thought to myself, I'm going to put up Conflated here. Like, it is, Tom.
Oh, there you go. Great minds and everything.
Well, 50-1.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a very apt name for a tip that you're both combining into one.
There's 8 runners. He put up his best performance last time by a country mile. He wasn't far behind Asterion Forlonge as a novice. 3 miles at Leopardstown shouldn't be an issue. He's got Davy Russell, the best jockey in these big chases around. You know, I just thought, with doubts about everything else, you got a horse coming in with a 1 by its name, and all the rest haven't. Simple as that.
Is there an air of a tornado flyer about him that this could be the time where, you know, he's the right age against other horses who may be on?
And he might be ridden, Ross. He might be ridden. You know what Davy Russell's going to be like? He's going to ride him to finish in the frame, isn't he? He might not win the race, but at 50-1, 3 places, I thought he was the bet.
Okay, 50-1, Conflated then, Paul Kealy. The wind right out of your sails.
Yeah,
there.
that's right. Yeah, devastated. You know, well, I suppose we can both be laughed at for it. Look, it's just a case of you can pick holes in everything, can't you? I mean, the Nichols form you've got to worry about with Frodon. Manella Indo is either not the same horse away from Cheltenham, or that was a one-off. That Gold Cup, it's by a mile his best run. You know what I mean? He hadn't shown that form before or since, even when he was winning at Cheltenham. He was rated, he was rated 164 going into last year's Gold Cup. He's 175 now. That's based on 1 run. Hasn't repeated it. Ken Boy, yeah, you know he's going to run a solid race, but he's 10. I mean, I'm not rushing to back 10-year-olds at 11-4 in Grade 1 races. So why not go for something that's improving? I can see the case for Delta Work if he comes back, if he bounces back to form. But, you know, it is funny the message. I mean, he said he was going to take the headgear off and ride him handier, and now he's in first-time cheek pieces. I mean, that would suggest they are going to ride him handier, the cheek pieces. But, yeah, in the end, I thought to myself, you know, stuff it, why not back the rag and see what happens?
Stuff it, why not back the rag and see what happens? That is a beautiful sentence there. Ken Boy 11-4 then, but Conflated is 50-1. Since 2018, by the way, since the DRF was formed, of course, all winners had run in the Savills Chase, and 17 of the last 25 winners of this had run in the Savills Chase. And obviously, apart from Ken Boy, I thought Delta Work was a little bit interesting. They took the hood off. He didn't see himself, but he had an injury, didn't he? So it's might have just have taken a couple of runs for him to get back. And he's 9 years old, so this might be his kind of last hurrah. And I do think it's worth mentioning Janadil, who, on the face of it, didn't quite get home in that Savills Chase. But similar to Tornado Flyer, I get the feeling, Tom, that the yard will kind of think, well, let's test him over the trip, and then if he doesn't run too badly, we will really get him properly ready for the next time out. And again, he's another improver, and he gave Allaho a fright at the John Durkan, and you know, again, he reminds me of Tornado Flyer. He could improve another half a stone potentially if he gets the trip.
That's what I thought last time, Ross, and I backed him last time, and I was really disappointed with his finishing effort. There is a chance though that he could have bounced, because that was a really hard race at the John Durkan. I know Asturian Polanche fell and came out and run well at the thing, and Alaho's won since. But there's a chance. It was quite quickly on the back of that. It's the same month, and I just wonder whether he bounced on the back of that and had a hard race. So there is a chance he could bounce back. On the face of it, just watching it, he didn't look like a 3-miler, did he? But as you say, Willie Mullins obviously thinks he's worth another chance in a race like this. And JP obviously does too, and his team. So, yeah, could see him running well.
Okay. Wide open Irish Gold Cup then here, Simon. Again, going to be an absolute cracker. You never get a dual race at this level, really, but especially 3 miles around Leopardstown. We've had some cracking finishes over the years.
Yes, and it's a really fascinating race. I mean, Ken Boyd's Leopardstown record is excellent. He's won 2 Grade 1s, he's been second in 2 Grade 1s, he's won a Grade 2, and he's been third and fourth in a couple of other Grade 1s. So he's never been out before in 7 tries at Leopardstown, which I suppose he's almost like a default favourite. But I take, on board the lines about the 10-year-old. It does look a race to sort of take on quite a few of the front runners of booking, and it's interesting. I looked as far as Delta, like you, Ross, but really interesting. They've gone all the way down to Conflated and made a case for him, because it's a race that threw up Ed Wolf at 33s, Carlingford lost 20s, and the last winning favourite was 2012. So great shape for a race to try and work out.
Okay, but the bet, Paul Kealy, is?
Yeah, I've had a couple of quid each way and Conflated.
Okay, very well. And Tom Segal, agreeing with your esteemed colleague.
Yeah, I've had a few quid on him each way as well.
Okay, and I'll be dutching Delta Work and Janadil out of that Savills Chase. Mr. Clare?
I do like Ken Boy. I've got a soft spot for him. He was Ruby Walsh's last winner, and he won the Coral Punchtown Gold Cup. And I think he just loves Leopardstown so much. But I'll definitely have a few quid on Conflated now the guys have tipped him. I'll get back as well.
Yeah, we can't be not backing a 50-1 winner if Tom and Paul do. Okay, we pretty much we've got to the end of the show, but we've still got about 4 races to talk about. So we better rattle through these. The last one on Saturday we're going to look at is a handicap chase over 3 miles over at Sandown, where 5-star Getaway, Fahrenheit and Little League King are all 4-1 co-favourites. Disha Arbor is 11-2, Cap Course 13-2, Under Supervision 7s, Limilos is 11-1, Real Steel at 16-1. We just had one 3-mile race over in Leopardstown, admittedly a much better one, Paul, where you could pretty much back everything in the field with some possible chance of improvement. And this is a kind of a similar story, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a very difficult race. I mean, Fahrenheit, I'm not surprised he was taken out the other day because of the ground, because I don't think he's fast enough for 2 mile 4 furlong on good ground, but we'll find out whether he handles it tomorrow because he's going 3 mile. I did think that Lineley King is easily the best handicap horse in the race, but again, it's the Ollie Murphy form. He would have won 10 lengths doing handstands last time if he hadn't have nearly fallen 4 out. So he'd be my token selection. I did back Real Steel earlier in the week, but again, that's the Nichols thing. He's a 16-1 shot who's 20-odd pound lower than he used to be. He hasn't run a single good race for Paul Nichols yet, but good ground and 3 mile is probably perfect for him. But Lineley King, token suggestion in a race that I couldn't really work out.
Okay, Lineley King is a 4-1 shot. I was a little bit interested in Cap Course, who's a bit of a Goshen. Has won 4 times from 11 starts, never placed. If he doesn't win, he's either unbeatable or he doesn't want to know. And that speed figure last time out at Newbury was very interesting. Again, given the Nichols form, that could go either way. Tom, did you have a tip in this 3:30?
I thought it was really hard, like Keel said. I think he's not the only one that can't work it out, because just look at those prices down the right of the screen there. 4-1 each of 3, 11-2, 7. It's like a dog race, isn't it? I think any of them could win it. I probably didn't think Real Steel was going to win, and I would be worried about Lamilos on the ground, but I thought all the rest had an equal chance, really. My pin maybe would come down on 5-star Getaway, because I just think that Kempton form's very good. I thought Fortescue ran a cracker in the Peter Marsh last time, and I thought 5-star Getaway was always going to get there. Still think he's got a bit in front of the handicapper, and so he might be the one. But like many of these, Fahrenheit included, he's supposed to want soft ground, and we'll have to wait and see what the ground is at Sandown. I have a feeling it's going to be softer than people think it's going to be, but if it's not, that might be a problem for him.
Okay. Wide open then, Simon. Very quickly, any interest in the 3:30?
Yeah, I'd probably be 5-star Getaway. I was there obviously on Boxing Day, or was it the 27th? That was Boxing Day, wasn't it? And I thought he won well. That was a good race, and so 5-star Getaway for me.
Okay, 5-star Getaway is a 4-1 shot on the viewers. 5-star Getaway for me as well, says Peter Davis, form with Ford Askew and getting a weight. Limilos for Off-World and Disha Arbor should go well, says Tom Williams. You'd hope so. He's won the race 2 years running. He's going for the hat-trick. He's the honeysuckle of Sandown, if you like, in a weird way. But speaking of honeysuckle, let's go back to Leopardstown for Sunday, which again, I'd say we could probably, let's have 10 minutes to have a look at some of these races. But if I'm honest, they almost deserve a show in and of themselves. And I could talk about this 120 for half an hour, I think. The novice chase at Leopardstown on Sunday at 120 over 2 miles, 5 furlongs and 61 yards. We've got 3 Grade 1 winners coming into this, but we've got an odds-on favourite in the shape of Galopin Des Champs, 1-2. Master McShee, 15-2. Fury Road, 8's Capodanno, 8-1. Beacon Edge, 10-1. And 25-1 French Dynamite, Gaillard de Maynil, and 50-1 Fighter Allen. This is an absolute blinding race, Tom. And can you summarise your thoughts in a very succinct way? Or
very quickly. Listen, Galopin Des Champs was amazing, wasn't he, on his first run over fences? He looked brilliant, but, lots of horses look brilliant when they're running against horses that they're miles better than. This is a much, much tougher race. I mean, 2-1 on's way, that's a ridiculous price for me. If he's as good as, Colto Star wouldn't have been 2-1 on for this. It's asking. It's just a wrong price. Mr. McShee's form looks better now. He did really well to pick up that Farouk Delaine, which ran really well the other day. He can go well. Fury Road is a horse I've got so much time for, and I thought he was really good in the Group 1 Neville chase. I think he wants 3 miles. That's the problem here. What I'm interested in is Capodanno, because I thought he gave Bob Ollinger plenty to think about the other day. I think the step up in triple suit him. I actually quite fancy him for the Brown Advisory at Cheltenham, if that's the way they go with him and Galopin doesn't go there. So I think it's more wide open. You've got to jump the fences. Look, Galopin Des Champs could be the second coming. 2-1 on, no thanks.
Yeah, Galopin Des Champs then, who was 100-1.
I was going to say, 100-1 this meeting last year. But even money favourite the time before that, and pulled up in a Grade 2. And then it was 100-1 last year. He actually travelled like a dream and then just cut out.
And he did you a favour, didn't he?
One. He did me a favour.
Weeks later.
I backed him at Cheltenham and I good. Yeah, it's my only winner of the entire meeting.
1-2. 1-2 in an absolute corker.
1-2. Yeah, it's a cracking race. I can see where Tom's covering with Capodanno, and I like Fury Road as well. Yeah, it's too short, really. It wouldn't surprise you if he wins, but a horse that runs, that makes Bob Ollinger pull out all the stops is 8-1, and there's 8 runners each way. That's where my money would go.
Okay. Galopin Des Champs then 1-2. Capodanno is an 8-1 shot. Of course, it'd be nice to see Master McShee win as well, so we don't just get Mullins, Elliott, de Bromhead, Mullins, Elliott, de Bromhead in every race. Or Beacon Edge, of course, who he was my horse to take out of the Stayers Hurdle last year, and I think he could be very interesting if he gets a nice toe into this absolute corker of a race, Simon.
Yeah, great race. I mean, we've got an in-the-know special, 5-2 Galopin Des Champs to win both this and the Brown Advisory. That's from 2-1. And outside of Brave Man's Game and a Hoist in Europe, of course, runs tomorrow. Galopin Des Champs is 6-4 favourite for the Brown Advisory, 6-1 Capodanno, 8-1 Fury Road, and 12-1 Beacon Edge. So this race will have a big bearing on Cheltenham.
Yeah, it really will. And
horses are getting shorter for these races, earlier and earlier, aren't they? Do you not think these anti-post races?
Yeah, it feels a bit like the markets are kind of set in stone a week in advance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so.
we've already had 3 horses at about 3-1 favourite for the Supreme, haven't we? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because one runs and then another one runs, and similar thing with Fedor in the Triumph.
That's just the world we live in, though,
Yeah,
Paul.
it's
extremes either way, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's no middle ground.
Yeah, come on, bookmakers, start laying bigger prices. That's what I say.
There you go, Simon. Thrown down a challenge from Keels then. Absolute cracker on Sunday, then Galopin Des Champs 1-2, but you'll be back in what against it?
Capodanno.
Okay, and what have you got your eye on, Tom?
Fury Road and Capodanno. They'd be my 2 to keep an eye on.
Okay, and Simon?
I'm a romantic. I like Master McShee. I'll back him each way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gaillard de Maynil, of course, who was 9-4 at Cheltenham last. a year and is 25 to 1. It's an absolute blinder of a race. But that's the Novice Chasers for you this season. There are a lot of classy animals. Over to the 150 then on Sunday, the Dublin Chase here, where Chacun Pour Soi bids to win the race once again. He's 4 to 5 to beat Grenadine at 3 to 1. Captain Guinness is 5 to 1. Dunvegan, one of the most improving horses in the entire weekend, is 10 to 1. Cashback at 20 to 1. Chacun Pour Soi, yay or nay? Tom Segal, are you a fan of him? I mean, earlier I compared you to him, and you weren't very happy at all.
Listen, I'm a big fan of him. When he's on his A game, he's fantastic, isn't he? When he's at Punchestown at the end of the season, he looks unbeatable. I think he's better than these. But I thought he was better than these at Sandown last time when he finished out. Obviously everything went wrong that could go wrong. Grenadine thrashed him. Once again, we're going to talk about it, the Nichols factor. What's going to beat him? If Chacun Pour Soi turns up in his best form, he wins this easily. Grenadine is clearly the form danger, but what form he's going to turn up? Captain Guinness, Henry de Bromhead. So it's just not a betting race for me. It really isn't. I think Chacun Pour Soi will probably bounce back.
He's 4 to 5.
Yeah, me too. It's one of those. You say 4 to 5. How did he go off at that price? 5 minutes after the race, it's one of them. I mean, he's much the best horse if he bounces back. He was below form at Cheltenham last year a little bit, and very much below form at Sandown. Too bad to be true there, but that's twice he's had to travel. He doesn't have to travel this time. It's a home game. He won this in a canter last year at 2 to 5 or 2 to 9 or something.
The only horse to beat him at this track is Aplutard as well. So this is his race course, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keel's 10-year-old? 10-year-old? Does that worry you?
Well, 10-year-old in a Grade 1 like this, it's just not a competitive one, is it?
No.
Well, that's the problem. He's a Grade 1 horse against non-Grade 1 horses, apart from Grenadine, then we have to worry about the stable form.
And we said, I think it might have been last week, wasn't it, about Special Tiara, for example, when over the 2 miles, maybe their legs last a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think it's probably easier to do it over 2 miles.
Yeah.
I know there's only been one winner of the Stayers Hurdle ever who's been age 10 or older.
Yeah. Chacun Pour Soi then 4 to 5 for this the Dublin Chase. He's 4 to 5. Galloping de Champ 1 to 2. So it's potentially 4 to 5 is a bit of value, Simon.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Paul Nichols is sending a couple of bullets over there in Frodon and Grenadine, because obviously there haven't been many big runners at the Dublin Racing Festival from UK. So it's great to see Paul Nichols sort of sending an advance party over ahead of Cheltenham. And personally, I think Grenadine is the bet, and the base that Chacun Pour Soi had disappointed last time out. Grenadine, I love the ground, and bar the Paul Nichols form, which obviously is a bit of a worry. I thought, a 3 to 1, he's probably a solid alternative.
Okay, Chacun Pour Soi then 4 to 5 for the Dublin Chase. Grenadine is a 3 to 1 shot. And Dunvegan, I'll be hoping, gets involved at 10 to 1. Maybe a Dunvegan Master McShee double on Sunday for the heart, not the head.
Good luck with that project.
What was that, Tom?
Good luck with that project.
Thanks, mate. Leopardstown then, 2 more to have a look at. The Irish Champion Hurdle is the other one. Is the first one we're going to have a quick gander at, where of course Honeysuckle is likely to be very, very hard to beat. 2 to 7. Zana here 4 to 1. Savoir is 11 to 1. Echoes in Rain 25s. Heaven Help Us at 50 to 1. It appears to have taken 12 goes under rules, Tom, before everyone goes, actually maybe she is good, and we'll all run scared from her.
Absolutely right. I mean, it took me about 10 of them, and you're right. I mean, she just looks unbeatable to me. She looked better than ever, I thought, in the Hatton's Grace at the start of the season. She won this by miles last year, 2 to 7. Of course, I'm not going to back her. Might have a little bit on Samoir in a little forecast with her, because I think he's better than he's shown. But she wins, doesn't she?
You would have thought so, yeah. Albeit Zana here, he does make it difficult. He's been beaten 4 times in Grade 1 company, but he doesn't have to try.
Yeah, he's a trier, isn't he? But he's not good enough, is he? I mean, he's got to give us £7 as well, hasn't he? The mayor's allowance. No interest in taking her on. Just watch her win. She's great. She'll go to Cheltenham unbeaten again.
Yeah. Okay. Simon Clare, Honeysuckle fan.
Well, yeah, massively so. She's owned by male boss Kenny Alexander. She's a brilliant mare, and with the In the Know special, she's 4 to 6 for the Champion Hurdle, 2 to 7 tomorrow. But you can get even money to do the Irish Champion Hurdle double from 5 to 6. So, if you think she's going to win both, even money.
Okay, there we go then. Let's have a look at one more on Sunday then. And we've, of course, got a fantastic Supreme Novices potentially lining up in March, and we could have another horse to throw down a challenge to what looks already a pretty warm order. And Sir Gerhard is the favourite for the Island Novice Hurdle at Leopardstown on Sunday, 5-4, up against quite a few alternatives though. 3 Stripe Live 9-2, El Fabiolo is 5-1, My Mate Mozzie 6-1, Statuaire 7-1, Colonel Mustard 14s, far out 25s with Watch House Cross, who I thought looked a little bit big at 25-1. But Rodders, Graham Rodway in the paper today was saying that the Irish Novice Hurdle form has been pretty poor this season. Would you agree?
I wouldn't 100% agree. I mean, I think we can all get carried away with certain performances of certain horses, but I thought Sir Gerhard was pretty faultless on his debut, winning by 8 lengths and an absolute canter. And, of all the short ones running on Sunday, I thought the odds against about him in this race was probably the most appealing price, because I think he's absolutely top class. I'm not convinced about any of the others. So, so Rodders has got half a point there. So, yeah, I actually think he's going to win quite easily and end up being favourite for the Supreme, another new favourite for the Supreme. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what happens then, because obviously Mullins has got him and Dysart Dynamo, and then we've got Constitution Hill and John Bomb for Nicky Henderson. Cannot see them all running in the same race. Really can't.
I kind of hope they do, though.
Well, we'll do to a certain extent, don't we? I mean, I've actually backed Constitution Hill for both.
Yeah.
Right, when you look at what's going into him, you'd say, well, if he switched to if Constitution Hill switched to the Ballymore, he's clear favourite. And he's one of 4 with a market chance in the Supreme. It's interesting.
But then, I mean, a few years ago, one of the best Supremes we've seen in years was Shishkin, Abacadabra, Chancery House, and so you had. If you do get them all go up against each other, it toughens them up, it improves them, and it's an incredibly entertaining race.
It can do without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Okay then, so Gerhard 5-4. Willie Mullins has won this 8 of the last 10, and when he didn't win it, he finished second. So Gerhard is going to take some beating here. But again, Willie Mullins at the Dublin Racing Festival, it's not the most out of the ballpark suggestion here, Tom. And you like him? I think you've backed him for the Supreme, have you not?
I have, and this is the Jenga race, isn't it? And if you're what I mean by that is that you take one piece out, what happens in this race is going to affect all the other Cheltenham races. And I think if you're a Dysart Dynamo fan, you'll be watching this race, behind your hands or behind the sofa. Because if Sir Gerhard wins and wins easily, which I expect him to do, Dysart Diamond won't run in the Supreme. I'm convinced of it. I think he'll end up in the Ballymore. Why run 2 good horses against each other when I'm in Keel's boat here. I just can't see Dysart Diamond running in the Supreme if Sir Gerhard runs in the Supreme. And looking back through history, Appreciate It, Asterion Flange, Classical Dream, all those 3 horses who won this race when short price favourites Willie Mullins went on to the Supreme. Sir Gerhard wins as I expect him to do. He'll be running in the Supreme, and Dysart Diamond won't, in my opinion. So I expect him to win. Like Keels, I thought he was a brilliant winner of the bumper at Cheltenham. He only won by narrowly, but he did it differently to how most horses do it. He was up there throughout. He quickened off the home turn, and he showed guts to stay on and win it. Most horses tends to fall apart a bit late on the bumper. I thought he was really good. He jumped really well. I think he's better than these, and I think he'll win, and it'll be a great race. Him versus Constitution Hill. I don't really fancy John Bonner, I have to admit, in the Supreme. Him against Constitution Hill will be the race of the festival, and although it's the first one, that will be the best one.
So Gerhard then 5-4 to win on Sunday. How good is he? How has the market reacted to this race? Because the rest of the runners in the field are either trained by the same trainer or have been beaten at a similar level. Simon.
That's right. I mean, you mentioned the Willie Mullins stat. 4 of the 9 are trained by Willie Mullins. So he's won 8 of the last 10. He's got a good chance there, just on the likelihood of winning. But Segal's a really good horse, isn't he? I mean, he was brilliant last year in the bumper, beating Kilcrut, and he's 4-1 for the Supreme, 3-1 for the Ballymore, and yet that reflects the fact that the Supreme just looks a more competitive race, even though he probably is more likely to run there. So again, great race to watch with Cheltenham in mind. And look, there's some good horse with decent form against him, but he just looks class act, doesn't he? So I'd probably expect him to win.
Okay, very well. So Gerhard then is 5 to 4 for the Novice Hurdle on Sunday. Right, on to Musselburgh for for a fantastic card. I mean, with Keels, I've already seen his bets, and we've got the handicap hurdles and the handicap chases and all sorts of stuff.
I've had bets in all of those at Leopardstown.
You better buy the paper then.
Fancy those at Musselburgh as well. Yeah. Buy the paper both days.
Job done. Keels could have a good weekend. But that's Sandown and 2 days at Leopardstown, mostly covered. I mean, we've even had to leave out a grade 1 or 2 as well, haven't we? So let's get our naps of the weekend. I reckon it's a pretty tough weekend to narrow it down to a best bet, especially of the 15 races we've already talked about. I could give you a couple elsewhere as well. But let's see what we're going for naps of the day on Saturday or Sunday, of course, starting off with the man to my left, Mr. Paul Kealy.
Glenn Forcer in the 205, I think it is, at Musselburgh. Veterans Chase. The handicapper loves dropping a horse. He's £21 lower than he was a year ago. And he's £8 lower than when he looked like he was going to run away with a 3-mile grade 3 handicap at Ascot, but it was over 3 mile on soft ground and he didn't stay. He's always looked a suspect stayer at 3 mile. It's absolutely perfect. Right-handed track, 2 miles, 6 furlong. I can't see him getting beat and he's not even fav.
Okay, there you go. Glenn Forcer, out of the blue there, Tom. Are you going for one we talked about, or do you have something up your sleeve as well?
Glenn Forcer is my Zanza. I must have backed him 4,000 times.
So you've given up now, though, haven't you?
I've given up,
Perfect.
Exactly a win now. I am going for one of Keel's ones that he's given up on, but I haven't. Bundoran. I think he's got a great chance. I can't work out the price. I just think everything's right for him tomorrow. Track, ground, everything, handicap mark. I think he'll run really well.
Okay. No old timers in the grade 1s, but a 10 and an 11-year-old then for our 2 tipsters for the best bets. Simon?
Bundoran was noted down. I might have gone for that, but I'm going for Blue Lord. I'm going for a short one. I think he's going to win and be a hot favourite for the Arkle, so he'll win the Irish Arkle. And I should just point out that Ian Wassell, one of the senior traders, been around a long time at Coral, is put up on the website 13-2 Goshen to win by over 5 lengths.
There we go. 32 Goshen to win by over.
Can I change my best bet?
There you go. Sure, absolutely. And I'd also like to request the price of Goshen to be beaten 50 lengths as well, and back both of them, level it out. But I'll go for Don Levant, mainly to place. I'm going to go for a 75% place, 25% win nap of the day in the shape of Don Levant. Why not overcomplicate it if everyone else is? Let's be honest. So that's it, gents. It's Saturday morning. Get ready for the races. I enjoyed that. Like I said, we could go around again, and there's probably half the horses won't even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as I said, I love the handicaps at Leopardstown, so got stuck into them.
Yeah. So
really fancy
Ross,
Birchdale on Sunday.
We should tee up that we can be discussing it all on Monday for our first Monday night preview show.
That is true, yeah. Of course, on the run up to Cheltenham, every Monday until Cheltenham, we will be here in the studio to discuss some of the big races, look back at the weekend. We'll have a special guest as well. Am I allowed to confirm the guest, Simon, on Monday?
I think so.
Okay.
It's not really up to me, but yes.
Okay, well, I don't know who it's up to, but fingers crossed we'll be joined by Paul Townend on Monday to discuss potentially 10 winners he's had over the weekend and their market moves as well. We'll be getting stuck into Cheltenham. It's only the 4th of February, but it is hotting up as we get looking forward to a really, really good weekend. So Leopardstown and Sandown to come. We'll be back on Monday night as well with our look forward to Cheltenham. And then we'll be back next Friday as well. Of course, it's the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury. It just keeps on going and going and going. Thanks to everyone for watching at home. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also gamble responsibly. And please, will someone order me a taxi to get my train? Thank you to Paul Kealy, Tom Segal and Simon Clare. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as ever. And we will see you on Monday night. Have a very good weekend.